Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the East Lyme Board of Finance regular meeting. Today's Wednesday, July 13th. The time is 7 o'clock. And I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda is delegations, where any member of the public can address the Board of Finance on an item on our agenda for this evening. Seeing that there's no one here in the room, I'm going to assume that we have no delegations. And move on to the next item, which is the approval of minutes from the special meeting held that was originally scheduled for June 8th, that was held on June 21st. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Mm-hmm. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Okay, East Lyme Board of Finance special meeting minutes to be approved on June 21st, 2022.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. Carries 5-0-0. So, typically we have our first selectman here to give a report. Mr. Siri was unable to make it this evening, but he did want to make sure that we remind everyone that we have Celebrate East Lyme Day on Saturday, July 16th, going from 3 to 9 on Main Street. There's food, over 200 vendors, music, and then from noon to 11 is the entire event. Around 9:30, we'll have fireworks, provided by Dominion. So it's really wonderful to have this back again after a hiatus of 2 years. Main Street will be closed from noon to 11. So the best thing to do is go to either the Facebook page on Celebrate East Lyme, or to the discovereastlyme.com website. There's a wealth of information. They also have information on the McCook Summer Series, which has started, which is music at McCook Park. So there's a whole lot going on in town, and because parking is definitely going to be challenging, you really do want to take a look at the website and see where the best place to go and get there early. I'd also like to invite anyone who might be interested. Our Anna Johnson will be retiring in September, and so we have a job posting for the Director of Finance. We have a few applicants, but we would welcome any additions to that. The other reminder that I'd like to share with the public is that taxes are due. So motor vehicle is due in full, real estate and personal property. If it's less than $100, it's due in full. If your taxes are greater than $100 for personal property and real estate, then the first installment is due. You can pay them between July 1st and August 1st. There's a lockbox here. There's also information on the website if you have any other questions in regard to that. So I think that would be everything that Mr. Siri would be reporting, as everyone's kind of in the midst of summer activities and school is out. And so we'll go on to the next report with Anna, Director of Finance.
So, since no one is at the meeting, is it okay if I stay sitting here?
Absolutely.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so first I will give the status on our June 30th, 21 audit. So at this point, the draft is being worked on, and so I may have a draft as early as the end of next week, and then Our auditor does plan to be at your August 10th meeting, I believe it's the 10th, to review the report at that time. We're not sure if it'll be like in its final version, and that has to do with the internal process that they have at their firm relative to the review of the audit. So, however, at that point, it's going to be substantially complete. There wouldn't be any material changes to it. So, I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Maybe you can just touch on the call with the rating agency, just what's up next for us.
Okay, so typically at this time of year, we go out to market. It's like an October sale date. So we go through a process, and part of that process is preparing an official statement for the town and doing a rating agency presentation, which we had the other day. So it's set up with the first selectman and myself, our financial advisor, and we do a call into the rating agency. And then this time, Chairman Denise Hall asked to, be present when we did the call, so she was on the call. So we go through various economic and issues for the town, both on the finance end and also different growth and development within the town. And when we actually sat down and put it all together, even for myself, looking at the number of restaurants that have opened up in this town over the last year, it was like, wow, we really had some growth on that end. So I think the call went very well. But the interesting thing is, and we do speak about it at all of our meetings here, is the growth in our unassigned fund balance over the last 3 fiscal year ends. And so I think this is really putting the town up in a good position to possibly achieve a rating upgrade. Maybe not next year, but I would envision if we're able to maintain that 15% level on our unassigned fund balance, like for the next 2 fiscal year ends, that would really put the town in a great position for an upgrade. It's for the most part, prior to like 2 years ago, our fund balance was kind of like hovering around the 8% level. So to have this amount of growth is just really great for the town. So we do have a written fund balance policy. I provided all of you with a copy of it this evening, just to kind of take a look at it. After the call, one of the things that we discussed was possibly considering amending the policy, because the policy states that we're going to have a 7% unassigned fund balance. So we might want to consider increasing that level so that it's in writing, and it would just be a good thing for the town. So that's why I provided you with a copy so you could look at it, and perhaps at another meeting we can talk about making recommendations to the Board of Selectmen to modify, update the policy.
So the Board of Selectmen modify this? Is that
Right, so it needs to, they're the policy-making board of the town, so they would actually have to approve it. However, it would certainly be reasonable for this board to make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen, for a change on that end. So.
And I would concur, definitely, the comments by the gentleman from S&P. It was, you might want to look at that 7%, because they really look to see what is the intent of the town. And we should have our policy really reinforce. It's great to have us all saying, yes, we really want to keep that 15%, but if you've got a policy saying it's okay to drop to 7%, it really speaks to what we're really aiming to do. So I think,
and I mean, we had to, I explained, why the board made the increase to unassigned fund balance in this year's budget to the $1.3 million. You know, we had the tax sale, and we did very well on that. So once the town made the decision to go and have the tax sale, we forwarded all those accounts to the attorney that assisted us in that process. And once we do that, everything goes through the attorney. So some of the individuals that were on the list for the tax sale did make payment on their taxes prior to the tax sale date. So all in all, we brought in over $1.5 million from that tax sale. So when you think about it, you were within that dollar amount in what the applied surplus was to this year's budget. So it was certainly reasonable. And, you know, we had other tax areas where there were some, you know, unexpected revenues, like, for example, the sale of the Gateway Apartments brought in $352,000 in a conveyance tax. So there were several, you know, good accounts, which, I mean, you can see them on the revenue report that you have. I'm still comfortable that we will achieve that 15% level by the end of the fiscal year. The report that you've been provided, I started using what the numbers are showing on the month-end reports, and for both the revenues and the expenditures, I made amendments to it based on what I know is going to happen. Like, for example, we're still going to receive one more month of tuition from Salem. East Lyme Ambulance will be paying us for 2 quarters of reimbursement for the firefighter. Waterford will be reimbursing us for their share of the animal control officer, and then we still have some outside police fees to be received. On the expenditure end, for legal expenditures in June, I indicated an estimate of $50,000. That could be a little high, it could be a little low. I've also provided for a rather generous allowance for unknowns, and I don't expect it to be that high, but I'd rather err on the side of caution there. And then I've also netted out the carryover of the contingency account and the retirement liability account, and also that we will be transferring $110,000 to the internal service fund to decrease a portion of that liability that sits on the books. So, you know, we've discussed that before. So all in all, with considering all those factors, you know, the expectation is that we'll still achieve that 15% level.
So Anna, with the 2 payments coming in from the ambulance, do you predict that gets us to 100%? Because I see we're only at 52% at this point.
On their projection?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it should.
And it looks like revenue from the dog licenses seems very slow to be coming in.
Well, actually, for the dog licenses, what will happen there is I'm going to be reallocating that, because that all has to go to the state. We basically, all the money that we take in for the dog licenses goes to the state.
I think we just keep one small portion.
Very small, yes. So.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Anna?
I have a quick question. I was looking over this expenditure analysis for the year, which ended June.
Yep.
It's just a general question. On the line items that are in the excess over the 100%, I know they normally go back into the general fund if they're not spent. Correct?
We'll have to do transfers to remedy all of those.
Yeah. I was just wondering, I don't know if this has been addressed before, you brought up, But any excesses on any line item, it's not transferred from one department to another. Whatever's left, how soon does that go into the general fund?
Well, it's all part of operating results. It's like, it's an ongoing, it's ongoing because you're, you know.
So it's
you're
not just like a cutoff date, it's ongoing throughout the year.
Right, exactly.
That's what I thought, but I know, I was looking at the Board of Ed, and they have $739,765.
So let me just, so they, we still have to book all of their payables, meaning encumbrances that they had as of June 30th that will be getting paid within the next 60 days. That will be charged back to this, and then they'll have encumbrances. As far as I know, the Board of Education, by the time we get that all taken care of over the next 60 days, that they will have expended 100% of their budget.
I saw that notation.
Right, and that's kind of when I was talking about when I did the estimate of the unassigned fund balance. If you look at the bottom of the report, I mean, actually, the second portion up, you'll notice I commented that the Board of Ed will spend 100% of their budget. So I added that balance of 739 into the amount that I'm showing expended to come up with the estimated unassigned fund balance.
Okay.
Any other questions for Anna?
My question has, I'm going back to the fund balance policy. Are we going to have a discussion about it and send a proposal to the Board of Selectmen? How do you plan on handling it?
Well, since everyone's just sort of seeing it for the
Right.
first time tonight, I figured we would, give us a chance to go home, read
Right.
it, and then we could discuss it at our next meeting,
Okay.
and then
send
and then make a
a
recommendation.
and that fits in with the, okay.
So is that something you'd like on the August
Next agenda. Yep.
Okay, that makes,
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Anna. So next item on the agenda is new business. The first one is in regard to the electronic gate at the Field Services Building. We were expecting Joe Brigada to be here or Kevin, but I know I watched the Board of Selectmen meeting and watched his presentation. Basically, the summary of the item is that on April 6, 2022, there was a theft at our field services facility at 8 Capitol Drive. The equipment stolen included the chipper and Parks and Rec trailers. Fortunately, we have surveillance, and through our excellent police work, we were able to retrieve the stolen property. It was a tough time of year because the chipper and trailers were needed at that time. So they historically had not been able to lock the facility as the gas and diesel pumps that are used by police and fire are there. So what they would like to do is install electronic gates so that there will be secure 24/7 access. As a source of funds, they plan to use LoCIP funds. But in order to use the LoCIP funds, the project needs to be included in the capital improvement plan. Thus, this is a two-part where first they're looking to amend the capital improvement plan and then approve the expenditure. And I think there was another part to why it was going to be okay that we amended the capital improvement. There were other funds that were offsetting.
So we're actually, the reason that we are amending the capital improvement plan is we want to use LoCIP funds. That those funds come to us from the state, and in order to, when we submit an application for a LoCIP project, right on there it says that we certify that the project is included in our capital improvement plan. And so because of that, we do need to modify, and that's why we're coming to you for that, so that we can use the LoCIP funds for that project.
Okay.
And the agenda item doesn't say that it needs to be on the call of the town meeting, but since the capital improvement plan is approved at a town meeting, any amendments to it need to be made at a town meeting. So I just wanted to, point that out and make that clarification for you.
Okay. So do I have
Move to approve adding the Public Works Project access gate at Field Services Facility in the amount of $20,000 to Public Works Department 317. This will increase the department project total from $1,885,000 to $1,905,000. It increases total projects from $5,073,81 to $5,093,81. It increases low SIP projects from $165,000 to $185,000.
Second.
any discussion or any questions? All right, yeah. All right, so the motion has been made and seconded. We have no further questions. So all those in favor of approving this action, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. Motion carries 500. And so as I stated, the next item is the special appropriation then from the LoCIP. So the exact same discussion in regard to the need for it. So you want to go ahead and
Move to approve as special appropriation in CNRE Fund 32 in the amount of $20,000 for an electronic gate system at Field Services FSB facility, with the source of funds being the LoCIP program, to an account to be established with the state project number. Note, this requires a town meeting.
do you have a second?
Second.
I'll just point out that we do have a proposal from Eagle Fence that would be within that 20,000. And from what I heard at the Board of Selectmen meeting, hopefully, once they actually, contract for it, it won't take that long to get it in place. It doesn't sound like this is going to be one of those things where they can't get the part for another year. So we should be good there. Does anyone have any comments or questions? All right, all those in favor of to approve the special appropriation?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. No abstentions. Motion carries 500. Okay, so next under new business is a special appropriation for the CNRE Route 32 corridor study grant.
Route 32 or Route 161?
Route 161.
Route
The source
161.
of
It's
the
Fund 32.
source of
CNE.
funds.
Okay, yeah.
Fund 32, the Route 161 corridor system. Sorry, did I say it too fast and it came out?
I'm sorry. I have horror stories about Route 32.
So do I have a motion?
What fun.
Move to approve a special appropriation to transfer in the amount of $25,000 of CNRE Fund 32 account 32-70-300-500-999, parentheses, townwide projects, to an account to be established titled Route 161 Corridor Study. Note, this requires a town meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So, again, this would have been something that Mr. Siri would be addressing, but basically, there is the SCCOG received a federal program funds through the Connecticut DOT for a study of the Route 161 corridor. East Lyme was approved for $250,000, and we are required to contribute 10% matching funds. At the time, the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance submitted a letter of commitment. The project is ready to move forward, therefore we need to go through the appropriation process. The source of funding identified was CNRE Fund 32, account 32-70-300-500-999 townwide projects. The current balance is $175,278, and at the July 6, 2022 town meeting, an additional $25,000 was allocated to this account. So, this is the study to look at building sidewalks along the road, starting from, trying to think,
Ileana's.
yeah, Ileana's Grill
Yeah.
down this way. So this is just a study. I know one of my first thoughts was, we're going to have this construction taking place with the 95 interchange and everything, but this is going to be farther south of that. So hopefully it doesn't impact that at all.
We had a lengthy discussion about this, I think, when we initially sent the letter, right? It's
Yeah.
basically that corner by Gorton Pond there, right?
For the sidewalks,
Yeah.
yes.
With the
That was
Where the
one-
sidewalk's gonna go,
right.
either in or out, I think is how I remember the
Yeah.
discussion.
Well, it definitely, I think it's a good idea. I know every time I drive down there, and if you see people walking, you just think how dangerous it looks. So, so I think,
But, one problem was the property owner owns a stone wall. On the other side of the road, you have the lake, which is a DEP
yeah.
issue. So I don't know which one has been resolved, if either one is.
I think that's what the $250,000 is gonna
Right.
recommend.
But they,
That's my understanding.
one or the other has to be approached.
Right. But something needs to
Both.
happen down there. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
for those of us that have been in town a while, that's been a discussion for
A long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
The guardrails get heavier and heavier.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments or questions? All right. All those in favor of approving this special appropriation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? No. Motion carries 500. Next under new business is reallocation of funds from the Board of Ed CNRE to the East Lyme High School Energy Savings Initiative. So we also thought that we would have some Board of Ed people here to discuss this in greater length, but once again, I did watch the presentation at the Board of Selectmen meeting, so I'll go ahead and move to approve the reallocation of CNRE Fund 32, account 32-99-500-369, Board of Ed, East Lyme High School Energy Savings Initiatives, $25,100. Fiscal year 21 CIP from its original intended use of East Lyme High School / East Lyme Middle School LED lighting to replace the domestic hot water storage tank at the high school. So basically, LEARN funds were originally set aside to assist with the potential administrative grant management costs associated with the high school, middle school LED lighting replacement projects. No external funds were needed or utilized, so the LEARN funds remain unused and available. The high school water heater is an electric unit. For several reasons, it was believed converting to a natural gas-fired unit would be a better solution than installing an electric tank. Designs were developed and bids obtained. Of the $33,800 originally allocated for the new water heater, $5,000 was spent from those DHW project funds for engineering services related to design and conversion of the tank from electric heat to natural gas heat. The project was advertised and 2 bids were received in November 2021. The low bid was $86,348 and the high bid was $138,794. Due to the excessive costs, the solicitation was canceled. In addition to the unmanageable initial capital costs, the payback period would have almost extended to the expected end of service life of the new unit and therefore did not support the conversion from electric to gas. The existing tank continues to deteriorate. An updated proposal for an electric unit was requested and received from our on-call service provider for $52,582 for a newer, higher efficiency electric tank. Combining the Learn funds and the remaining CIP funds would total approximately $53,900. The Board of Ed approved moving forward with the reallocation of funds. The corresponding Board of Ed meeting minutes are attached herein.
We have a motion. I'll second it.
And I don't know, Anna, whether you have any further insight. This was a pretty good explanation.
He did a very, Dr. Lund did a very good
Yeah.
job in the write-up. It's, his thought process when we discussed it on the phone was that it's for energy efficiency. It's just for a different purpose.
Yeah.
And the original request was so specific that it was for electric.
Mhm.
So that's why we came back to the board just to get consent to reallocate it for other than its original intended purpose.
Okay, thank you. So the motion's been made and seconded. With no one has any further comments. All those in favor of the motion to approve the reallocation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposed, no abstentions. Carries 500. Next, item D, special appropriation, once again. Peter?
Move to approve a special appropriation of $17,800 from CNRE account 32-99-094-900-001 East Lyme High School Pool Roof Reserve for a roof repair professional services at the East Lyme Schools Aquatic Center. Note, this requires a town meeting.
So, this agenda item was explained from Superintendent Jeff Newton that the school's request to utilize $17,800 of the funds set aside in the pool roof construction settlement account to fund repair design, bidding, and construction administrative costs. These fees are necessary associated costs required to develop repair plans and specifications, conduct bidding and contract award, and to manage and administer the contractor during the contracted repair process. A proposal in the amount of $17,010 was awarded previously to the school's on-call architect to conduct the initial roof investigation, including selective demolition and repair, and to provide options and cost estimates to repair the roof. The schools requested and received authorization to expend up to $20,000. The schools now wish to pursue a repair of the roof, and the architect has provided a proposal for required services totaling $17,800. The Board of Ed approved moving forward with the repair. The corresponding Board of Ed meeting minutes are also attached. The settlement account was created at the end of the original construction in response to known construction deficiencies. 32-99-094-900-001 East Lyme High School Pool Roof Reserve. The purpose of the account is to provide funding to correct roof and envelope issues that may arise due to those deficiencies. This proposal is in response to problems originating from construction and is therefore in direct alignment with the account's designated purpose. I don't know whether anyone else has any further insight. Anna, I mean, I think, again, this was pretty self-explanatory. Board of Ed and Board of Selectmen have both gone through it.
Yeah, the account had about $130,000 in it, and so they're, you know, they've kind of already been through phase 1 as,
Mhm.
you know, indicated in the agenda item. This is phase 2 to develop the specifications, and then once they go out to bid, I'm sure they'll come back for an appropriation to actually accomplish the work that needs to be done.
Anyone have any?
Is the expectation that the work would be done in that $100,000 range, or is it gonna be, we don't know?
Now, that's a good question. So there would be, you know, there'd be a little, there would be, what,
I didn't see any numbers, I kind of poked through that a little bit.
So there'd be probably about 90,000 remaining in the account. The board also has funds in the CNRE account left over from when they were receiving the Learn rents.
Okay.
Of course, they're not receiving rents anymore, so.
Right, that's a
what's-
finite amount of
So
money.
I don't know if the, you know, if the board would be willing to use those funds, or if, you know, at this point, we have to wait and see what the cost of the roof is gonna be, and then the Board of Education will have to make a determination as to
Where it comes from.
how they would like to proceed.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Just it's really kind of eye-opening to see that the documentation cost is so much more than the bidding and construction administration, especially when it's the clarifications. It's assumed Tecton will utilize existing PDF drawings. I guess that's the way the business is, but it just is eye-opening to me to see what their documentation costs were.
I agree.
Second.
Did we have a second? Okay. I'll second the motion. Any other comments, discussions? All those in favor of approving this special appropriation?
Well, you need a second.
I just did.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 500. And item E, authorized payment of real estate appraisal from Contingency, Hathaway property. Do I have a motion?
I'll take that. As you've been providing the summaries for the agenda items, I'll go ahead and read the summary before I make the motion. As you know, we've been in negotiations regarding property located on Hathaway Road, East Lyme, Connecticut, owned by Hathaway Farms, LLC. As part of the process, we obtained an appraisal on the property. We are in receipt of the invoice. However, we overlooked a source of funds for payment. The services were rendered during fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. Therefore, request issuing payment from the contingency account. There is a balance in the amount of $63,402. And now for the motion. Move to authorize the expenditure in the amount of $4,800 from account number 01011200500500 contingency for the invoice from Flanagan Associates for appraisal services rendered for property located on Hathaway Road, East Lyme, Connecticut, for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022.
Second.
Also,
Okay. And any discussion, questions? We have summary? No? All those in favor of authorizing the expenditure signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposed, motion carries 500. And the last item on the agenda was to authorize retaining the services of Clifton, Larsen, Allen LLP to conduct the audit of the town's records for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022. We are going to table this because we were expecting to have some material to back it up that we didn't get from them yet. So I know Anna is working with them to get that. There's a possibility that we could have it within the next week, and we may then just have a special Zoom meeting to review it.
Yeah, interesting. I did have a conversation with one of the audit team this afternoon, and when I inquired, apparently internally they're changing the way they do the engagement letters. They're doing it all electronic, and they're doing it with an electronic signature and everything. I said, well, I still need to have a copy of the document for the Board of Finance to review. So he said, okay, well, I will discuss it with our tech team to see, how to figure it out. Apparently, they're making these improvements, but the improvements are taking them longer to implement, if that makes any sense.
Progress.
Yeah. So,
Two
there you
steps
have
forward,
it.
one step back.
Yeah. So, once we have more information, I'll reach out to everybody and see if we can come up with, an hour somewhere to get that taken care of. So we don't have any old business. Public discussion, we have no public. Do I have any comments from my fellow members? Go ahead.
Yes, in terms of the item that I had made the motion for the authorization of the payment for the real estate proposal, there was a lot of interest in the town for acquiring the property for open space. There was a very well attended meeting at the community center that the land trust had put on and shared a lot of information. There were at least one Board of Selectmen meeting, maybe more, on this topic. It sounds as though there's a discrepancy in the property evaluations between what the parties of interest have and what the town's come up with. And to me, I get concerned that we could end up in another situation like what we've got with Oswegatchie Hills, that if we don't act on things in a timely manner, it'll end up costing us a lot more in the long run. And I understand that some things in recent history have kind of set a precedent to be very concerned about the cost that's being asked. But I also understand that the grant that the Land Trust had received from the state had approved the evaluations for the grant application. I would like to see our town move ahead in a timely fashion on this and figure out a way where we can reach some kind of middle ground or some kind of agreement as to a path forward. Because I'd hate to have another development go in there when it could have been open space for the town. Just my personal opinion.
Thank you.
Just as an addition to that, I agree with Rich on that, and I think maybe the first selectman could give us an update of just where we are with this negotiations for that piece of property. I don't know if it's been brought
Yeah,
up.
sometimes negotiations, you probably need to keep them,
I know.
in executive sessions. Yeah. Yep. But I will bring that up to Mr. Siri. Maybe we can make that an item for the next meeting too, assuming he's available. Anything else? No? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That was a slow second.
Yeah.